Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I had to do record taste challenges on Thursday because we lost electricity in the during the Hurricane Catherine Zeta-Jones, and so we didn't have power 25 hours. Now we're back. Okay, Ronrico. Introduced in 1860. This is the gold label. Well, it was introduced in Puerto Rico, Spanish Puerto Rico. You remember Puerto Rico used to be part of Spain. And then in 1889, the King of Spain gave the company this royal crest for its high quality. And it was designated a rum of nobles. Somehow it got bought out by Seagram's. Well, Seagram's bought a lot of people out. And then it got sold off to Jim Beam Company in 1994. It was for all those years distilled, aged, and perhaps bottled in Puerto Rico. But now it is distilled at the Cruzan distillery in the United States Virgin Islands on the island of St. Croix and bottled in Kentucky by Beam-Suntory, and you can see it's the same bottle as Old Crow, same bottle shape. All right. Now, $9.49 for that bottle. The competitor, Skol, rich gold. There's a shield with two griffins, a crown, a castle, a rum barrel. Don't know why that's on there. It says Virgin Islands rum. Now, what Virgin Islands? United States or British? Well, it says imported. See, it wouldn't really, if it was from the United States Virgin Islands, be an import. Because it's not, you don't pay import taxes from a territory to a state. Just like you wouldn't pay import taxes from Puerto Rico, a Commonwealth, a United States Commonwealth, to any state. You don't use a passport to go from. Well, now with the Real ID Act, you might have to use a passport just to get on the plane, but you wouldn't need it for, you understand, checking in, checking out. It's not a foreign country. Okay, this bottle is interesting because it has diamonds around the neck. Glass diamonds are forever. And so I think Canadian Lake and Canadian Leaf have that design also, but they're on a plastic. They're using a plastic bottle. They're really cheap. Skol, the 1 liter bottle costed me. The 1 liter bottle cost me $6.99. True story. So this is $6.99 for a liter. This is $9.49 for a 750. So if it's a tie, then it's a win for Skol by virtue of price comparison. Right? Right. If they taste the same, I'm not going to pay extra, you know, $3. Well, $2.50 extra. Thank you. No, thank you. Beer Hound Beer Reviews. Good morning, Ronnie. Good morning to you. And it is close to 6 a.m. Central Time. Halloween morning. Okay. Put it in the right glass with the right label, the RR, Ronrico label. I'll put tags below, see? You can maybe see that it's taped on there. That's the blind part. I mix them up really well, and then I can't tell which is which. And they were talking about that on William Kepley's, what's the ABV? Michael Komaroff and him talking about scoring beer. And Michael Komaroff was saying that a blind taste test is very important because some of these beers you think are no good, but then they score very well. He did a taste test with dark beers, and I think Modelo Negra came in third out of, I don't know, they had 7 or 8. And but see, people didn't know it was a mass-produced Mexican beer, so they weren't likely to score it low. See, a lot of people, if they know it's mass-produced, they're macro, you know. So Michael was saying, no, blind taste test is very important. Now, the Skol is coming out just like I thought, very light. and it's very dry. There's one called Dry White, which I have a bottle of. I also paid $6.99. Now I went by Keith's on Tuesday, or is it Kevin's? I can't remember. I think it's probably more like Ibrahim's, but you know, make it Kevin, Keith, Scott, Mark, John, liquor store. But they were under a renovation. Everything was scattered around, and they were building. It looked like they were going to do a really good job, but they didn't have much product out. He's like, "You come back, and it's going to have everything put out. It's going to be wonderful." And I said, "Well, okay," but I wasn't. You know, they didn't have anything that attracted my attention. So then I went to Total Wine and More, and then Discount Depot on Savannah Discount. So things developed from there. But I will go back to, I can't ever remember. I think it's Kevin's, Ibrahim's. Or whatever, you know, I'm being sarcastic, but not really sarcastic. If you get my driftwood. Okay, very pale, very pale, very pale, lightest gold you ever saw in your life. Is it colored? Doesn't look like it. Look how. I think that was in a barrel about a year, and from the old used charred oak, it got that color. It's almost, at first glance, you'd think it was a silver rum, but no, you can see a little gold hue to it. This one is gold, just straight up gold. So I can't look. If I look, I'll be able to tell them apart by vision. This is not a visual taste test. This is not a visual test. This is not a false alarm. This is not. All right. This is a taste test. It's not even a smell test, but oftentimes I can taste them. I can guess them on smell alone. Smell alone. However, we'll see. I just got to look for the dry woody one, because I remember the Skol was very dry and had a lot of wood, not charred oak, mostly just like toothpick wood. Whether you like that or not, I don't know. Now, some people were commenting, Skol, that stuff's horrible. It's terrible. And all of this. And I was like, well, and they mostly were talking about Skol vodka, which I see everywhere in Louisiana. Every store sells it. I said, well, I never tried that one. And the Skol rum is pretty good. The gold and the white. Never tried their overproof. Never tried the añejo, the aged, but probably never will. But all right, let's see. That first nose made me think of Skol. Faint wood. You see, these are so low profile in the nose. It's a hard guess on aroma. There's not much aroma. Not much aroma. Going to be the same thing with Ron Pontalba. Another Sazerac introductory item from 1989. There was a Pontalba rum in the 1930s. It was called Pontalba rum, and it was from what is called Sazerac today. It had older names back then, but because Sazerac was like a combination of two different New Orleans companies. They like came together, but anyway, something happened and Pontalba rum went bye-bye. It was made in New Orleans, actually. And but whatever happened in 1989, Sazerac, who was called Sazerac by then, at least in the 90s, 80s, in the 80s, they were not that big then, but they introduced Ron Pontalba, the silver and the gold, and maybe some others, añejos and overproof. And that's named after the famous Pontalba apartments at Jackson Square in the French Quarter, New Orleans. The world's most expensive public housing project. It's owned by the state. Today, it was developed by Baroness de Pontalba. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Skol is a Danish type word, Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, that means cheers. Skol. There's another reason it makes me think it was developed. I don't know. It's hard to say because the Danish Virgin Islands that the United States bought 103 years ago, that was Denmark owned. So Skol would have made more sense. You know what it probably is? It probably really is produced in the United States Virgin Islands. And they put imported because the people doing this think it's imported from a territory. You understand what I'm saying? They don't understand the legal point that it would only be imported if it was from the British Virgin Islands. Then it would have to pass through customs and all of that. Coming through, there is no customs coming from a territory to a state. But they probably don't know. It's true. They had people trying to order beer online, and they were saying, well, we can't send it. You can't get it from New Mexico because you can't cross international borders. And they were like, New Mexico is a state. But they thought it's a different country. I know many Americans that actually think that. They don't know. They don't know. They think New Mexico and Mexico is like either the same country or two different foreign countries. It's amazing, but we could call that amazing but true facts. Americans not knowing anything. And I guess that goes for most countries. I saw a video from New Zealand. They were interviewing people on the street in downtown in one of the cities. They were asking them general questions about Australia. What language do they speak in Australia? They didn't know. They didn't know. All right. And many of them said, I don't know anything about Australia, but I've heard of it. I think they have kangaroos or something they were saying. They didn't know. Oh my goodness. All right. That is very dry and woody, man. Oh my gosh. Oshkosh bagosh, that is dry and woody. But I wouldn't want to be deceived here. You see? Oh. This one has more sugar flavor. It's very light molasses, but it's there a little bit. And that one is just dry and has almost no flavor except for the wood. Are these worth buying? Well, they're worth buying. Heck. Hey, you know, they're worth buying. $9.49 for gold rum. That's made almost assuredly. What is it? There's no doubt. It's 100% made for mixed drinks cocktail. It is not made for drinking neat out of a mini snifter glass. Ain't designed for that. What about Skol? Skol. You know it is not designed for no sipping. You say, but you're sipping it. Well, of course I'm sipping it. I'm doing a taste challenge. I'm not going to make cocktails and try to do a taste challenge. There's no doubt now. This is Skol. I could tell. I could tell. There's something distinct about it. I don't know if it's the charcoal. I don't even know what it is, but it is Skol. It is Skol. It is. There's something unique, and what it is, I don't know, but I know it's there. Look how I don't even need a tag. Look how pale, how very incredibly pale. Yep. Haha. Well, I was a little concerned that I'd get them mixed up, you see, because I got them mixed up yesterday when I did the Grosskopf Distilling's Aristocrat versus Ronrico. I mean, Ronrio's a different thing. Ronrico. I got them mixed up. They were so close. This one, it's not so close. It's close. It's close. It's not so close. Tomorrow's going to be so close. because the Ron Pantaba is about as bland as the Ronrico. I didn't say bad. They got no off flavors. They got no nastiness. They got no yuckiness. They do have alcohol burn, but they are 40 proof, so you know. But the Ron Pantaba was $6.99 for a liter, however, and Ronrico is $9.49 for the 750s. We do have to take these things into consideration. Now, why are we getting a higher price point for Ronrico? Two reasons. One, it's a historic brand that in the 70s and 80s was a mainline brand with magazine ads, sweepstakes, promotions, and all of these things. But it faded after 1984 when Seagram started to collapse and they shut down General Wine and Spirits, I think it was called, and they couldn't even, I mean, why did they shut it down? They couldn't afford to keep promoting all that stuff and running a separate subsidiary. I don't know what this is. It's almost like a moldiness, like a cellar mold in it. And another reason for the Skol, the Ronrico being higher price, it's being bottled by Beam-Suntory, and they're gonna put it a little higher price than your Sazerac, value priced, or your Heaven Hill budget brands. You see, they're just gonna do it a little high. It's gonna be a little bit more. Even if you go buy American blended whiskey, you'll notice that Julius Kessler and Beam's 8-star, that's their two big American blended whiskeys. They're going to be a little higher priced than Kentucky Gold or T.W. Samuels from Heaven Hill, or Heaven Hill Kentucky Blended Whiskey Quality House from Heaven Hill, or some of these things from Sazerac, like I saw Tuesday, the 75 South. It's supposed to be an Albertsons brand, but there it was on the shelf with the new snazzy new label at Savannah Discount. Things like that. Fleischmann's thing. I never had Fleischmann, but I know that's a kind of a well-known blended whiskey. But what I'm saying is the Beam's going to be a little higher. What are the Brown-Forman cheap blended whiskeys from America? They exist. Don't know what they are. When I was on the distillery tour, they kind of indicated that, showing some bottles, but you'll never see it on their website. I know this much. But I think what Brown-Forman mostly does is they just sell off their excess to different private bottlers, you know, independent bottlers who go ahead and just sell it. Beam does a lot of in-house blending off. Heaven Hill, Sazerac also. Well, these are all right. Nothing fantastic, but nothing putrid or nasty. But the Skol wins on price and it wins on flavor. It has a better flavor. Let me try to pin that flavor down. I'll never be able to describe it, but I'm going to try. It's almost like a wax, a candle wax, and a background wintergreen peppermint. I think I said this before in blind taste test with Skol, that it had like a peppermint or even spearmint taste. I know, it makes no sense. I would say if you see Ronrico, go ahead and buy it. It's fine. It's nothing remarkable. You haven't gained anything, but you haven't lost anything. It just exists. Skol, on the other hand, I would strongly recommend buying it. It's very cheap, but it has a unique flavor, which I find fascinating, interesting, and intriguing. Is this the best cheapo I've ever bought in the rum world? The Skol. I think it probably is. It just is. It's just something interesting about it. Got 3 fleur-de-lis. I don't know what fleur-de-lis have to do with the Virgin Islands, but They on the shield. Last chance on this. At least with Ronrico, you got a nice label with the cabana on there and all. Nice island scene. You got the sky blue top of the label and then the sky blue neck. It looks white, but it's sky blue if you have a good light. It's kind of nice look. It's kind of a nice looking label. It does have a history. It really was introduced in 1860. It's not one of these scams, you know, where they'll say since 1795, Jim Beam. Yeah, well, actually 1938, Jim Beam bourbon hit the market. But the distillery goes back to maybe 1795. Like they'll say, it is said, like if you look at these websites carefully, it is said that distilling started in 1795. I was like, uh-huh. But and it's probably true, the Beam family. But I checked the trademark, U.S. government, United States Trademark Bureau, whatever it's called, and yep, it said 1860. I just typed it in, Ronrico. It said rum of various types, whatever, and then it said 1860. I said, okay, that was registered in the trademark office in 1860 by people who were going to import it to the USA. Huh? Well, hey, Skol is nasty, says Chris Meyer. Well, I don't think so. What you talking about this Skol rich gold? I don't agree at all. I don't agree. It's not nasty. I'm not saying it's like Appleton Estate or Myers is or Bacardi, but I think it could rival Bacardi Gold. I'm gonna tell you, wouldn't win, but it would battle. It would be close. It'd be close. Might lose in overtime. 45, 40, 40. Might miss an extra point in overtime, but it would really be an exciting contest. I've already done the contest. No comparison here. The Skol is the clear and unequivocal winner. I don't have to negotiate or qualify it or anything. Skol wins on price, and it definitely wins on flavor. So the Skol Rich Gold is a much better tasting rum than the Ronrico, which is not bad tasting, but it just doesn't have much taste. It's just so bland. It's like neutral. It's like tasting non-existence. However, I appreciate your research. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, that's it. The news is starting. So above and beyond, thanks everybody. Try to be back tomorrow morning for the final rum taste challenge for 2020. Goodbye.